services to help improve them? Can we begin to work with somebody who's maybe a single mom or maybe is a youth in transition between being in care and then out into the world to understand their context, their needs, the kind of networks that they have within their society, and then begin to work with them to design services that actually support them within their context? Yeah, I think that's a really, really powerful opportunity. So, any questions about that as a stop? I was going to get into here about the sort of things, the projects that have inspired me, and about the kind of ideas that from other places that I'd like to bring.
In a broader context, is there a way that such mechanisms could, civil engagement, could have public policy take a longer term trajectory?
Well,
specifically,
that's a hugely
transmission.
hugely important question, right? Like one of the things that you start to see when you do this public engagement stuff is the difficulties of a 4-year mandate, right? And I think maybe the one of the holy grails for this stuff, and I don't know if we're going to get there, but certainly one of the ideas that's really, really important is the idea of long-term planning, right? And a framework for how we make decisions over 20 years, right? I'm not sure I know how to do that well, but I certainly think it's a really important question.
Is it part of your mandate, or is it?
Well, I don't know yet. I don't know yet. So yeah.
Well, let us know if we can help.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate that.
One thing is that some of these problems are hard, and you need to learn a bunch of stuff. As you learn more stuff, your understanding the problem and your ability to make thoughtful contributions rises. So how do you model the contributions that someone can make with their own values and their own knowledge about the world, but little about the domain, versus someone who's taken the time to get more expert in the domain and what contributions they can make?
Yeah, well, I think that's part of how you structure dialogue, right? Mm-hmm. It's about how you position experts within the process, and about how you empower people who are maybe new to the subject with information. Yeah. I think the web is like one of the things I get so amazed by is the incredible palette now that we have to teach one another, right? Video and audio and text and like all this kind of stuff is, like the question I'm constantly asking myself is like, why would I write a white paper when I could do a documentary? Right. And I'm not saying I'm going to be a very good documentary maker, but I'm saying that's a really important challenge to think differently about these different media. And
why not just YouTube? Why go all the way to a documentary?
Well, yeah. Well, that's what I mean. Just put it on YouTube, right? So, like, that's that. How does that do? Yeah.
One of the challenges is people may want quick gratification engagement in government. I want to show up at one website, type something, and turn this massive oil tanker of a large organization with lots of activity. But that may not be realistic.
Yeah.
And that the fact that it's not realistic is frustrating and demoralizing. So how can you one of the challenges is how can we let people who have a short attention span get involved and contribute in that way? And how do we encourage people to learn more and learn deeper so that they can become more expert and make more deep contributions?
Yeah, I think one is by design, right? And like thinking about how I think one of the interesting things about the web is the way we're kind of learning to have like very small kind of contributions along with sort of more deeper ones. So a simple thing like voting up and down on comments on a blog, right, is one kind of small thing where you kind of gives you one sense of the information coming back from people.
Right.
But you're going to want to reward people who are deeply involved, right? And but I think you're also going to want to push them to work with one another, right? So that the dialogue becomes more effective.
Right.
Sorry, go back there. Yeah.
From my experience with this is that the challenge in citizen engagement is not on the part of the citizens, it's on the part of the government. The issue really has to do with the degree to which government is able or willing, from a legislative point of view, from an administrative practice point of view, from a political point of view, to actually allow for effective participation in decision making. There's a whole variety of administrative structures and legislation and accountability procedures that in fact prevent governments from really allowing for effective participation in decision making. So what happens is you have the animation of participation on the part of citizens that reaches a point where something actually has to happen, and the government says, sorry, that's our responsibility because we're accountable to the taxpayer for that. So I guess the question that I'd ask you is whether you have a mandate not just out, but also in, because I think that's really where the challenges really arise.
Like, I totally agree with everything you just said. And it is a challenge internally, but I think but what I'm also trying to show you is that there's a big driver to rethink that, right? Especially when you look at the demographic challenge there, right? So the short answer is absolutely everything you just said. The only thing I would add, maybe, and we can talk about this more, is I think there actually is a really deep challenge to citizens here. And in the session that we had just before, John from Bowen Island, don't worry, John, there he is, was talking about how we need behavior change, right? You need to think differently about the idea that you are empowered. If you expect that government will get all this done for you, you could remain cynical, or you could get active to try and find the ways that will work. So that's kind of part of the...
Just 2 points that I wanted to make, and both of those relate to what you were just answering, as to thrive, to participate. And I think one of the biggest challenges is to have champions of public participation and champions, policy entrepreneurs, champions of public participation and champions of public participation and using the technology for public participation. We had a really sad case. I'm not going to name the counselor, but at the open data meeting, council meeting here in Vancouver, somebody refused to actually, sign on because she didn't know, what that meant. And